Hey guys, I'm going to give you a tutorial on how to create a repeating tileable pattern texture within Photopea. The same thing can be done in Photoshop, but I'm going to show you specifically how to do it in Photopea. Photopea is a free online version of Photoshop. It basically has all the same functionality, everything you would need to do in Photoshop, mostly. It's really handy to have, especially if you're in a pinch and you don't have a computer and has access to your Photoshop. This is really nice to have. So let's figure out how well this tutorial video is going to go. I'm going to roll my d20. 4. Ooh, that's not good. I'm going to put that 4 right there. 4, huh? Ooh, that's not good. I'm going to try and aim higher than a 4 because 4 is not good. Let's make a better tutorial than that. All right, so we're in Photopea. I'm going to go create a new file. And this is going to be my base file that I work from. So I'm going to do 8 inches wide by 10 inches tall. That's something I like to do a lot. Background, I'm actually going to make it transparent and hit, DPI. I want this to be printable, so I'm going to do 300 DPI. So I'm going to hit create, and here we go. Here is my, my creation. I want this to be a full 8 by 10 texture. So I'm going to do, let's see, what can I come up with? I'm going to do dragon scales. So what color are dragons? Greenish? I don't know. They don't exist, you guys. Dragons don't exist. But if they did, they do exist. If they did exist, they do. Let's say they're green. So let's pick a greenish, yellowish, dragonish color. And we're gonna make that our background. So I did Control A, Command A on the Mac to select all, and then I hit Control Delete or Command Delete on the Mac to fill it in with whatever my background color is. And so I changed my background color to green. So there's my green. Now we need to create our tileable texture. I'm gonna do that by starting off with a new file that is square in size. And I'm gonna do 2 inches by 2 inches. So whatever I do in this space when I bring it to the other file, every 2 inches, it's gonna repeat the pattern that I create. And the way a pattern works is, or a tileable texture or pattern, is that the edges of the left that I create here are gonna line up with the edges on the right. So whatever you do in here, you want it to line up. Whatever you do in here, you want it to line up. And it's going to repeat itself. So keep that in mind with when we draw this. So I'm going to use black. You can always change the texture color later. And I'm going to start drawing some scales. And let's change the mode to 100% opacity for my paintbrush tool. And I'm going to also make the hardness completely hard so that it draws nice solid lines like that. And I'm just going to hand paint in some dragon scales. And the reason I start with a square is because a square, I don't like that, a square is easy to think about in terms of tiling. So it's just a good place to start. Now I'm going to change that as we go, and you'll see how we do that. And again, you can tile anything. It could be lines, it could be a repeating pattern of hexagons, of any kind of polygon, basically anything. You could draw anything. As long as all the sides line up, you will have a repeating pattern that's perfect. And so I'm going to try and keep these all about the same size. And so up here at the top, we see that line's connecting there. We want that same line to connect down here. And this line, okay, I'm gonna have to make this bigger. So what I can do is actually shrink this. So I'm gonna go edit, free transform. The layer is locked. Well, let's unlock it. I'm gonna do edit, free transform, still locked. Okay. How do you unlock it? Ah, yes. There we go. So edit, free transform. And hold down shift so it maintains its aspect ratio. And I'm going to continue drawing. Make it my brush smaller now to match my new size. And let's see. We're going to have that go to there. And that go to there. And those should connect on the other side, right in the middle. And what you're doing is you're thinking about, how is this repeating? How is this texture going to repeat? How does it make sense as a repeating texture? And then we know that these connect to the top. So up here, these two lines here, they're going to connect down here. So those are going to be like here, and this one here. There are a lot more precise ways of doing this. I could put in guide layers and that sort of thing. It kind of depends on the look you're looking for. For me, I kind of need it to be just sort of lined up, because this is sort of a hand-drawn thing. So the scale textures don't really need to be perfect. So I'm going to crop that, and now we can try out and see what this texture looks like. So I'm going to go Control A, Edit, Define New, Pattern. And so it's created a new pattern, and it's storing that right now within like the memory of Photopea.com. In Photoshop, it's a different way of creating patterns, and it stores them on your computer, and you don't have to save them or anything. But in here, it's only basically available in this session. I think it's different if you have a paid account on Photopea. I think it will save those patterns maybe. I don't know for sure, but I assume so. It should. So let's go back to our other file, our 8x10. With our green color, and I'm going to go to blending options, and I'm going to go to pattern overlay, and there it's already selected. Oh no, here we go. That's one I created before. Still in memory. Yes, so you can see the pattern it's creating. Now, I didn't think about it right when I made this, and it looks like there's two tiles connecting. Like they're sort of pairing up. We don't need both those edges, so we'll go back here because we already have this on this side. So we can actually get rid of that whole edge there because we know it lines up. So we could just do half. So let's do half on each of these, and hopefully those line up. And you'll see what I mean when I crop this. So we're gonna select a goal again, define new pattern. Let's go back and add that. I'm going to duplicate this layer just to show you the difference. And we're going to go put that new pattern I just saved onto there. There it is. Much better. They don't line up perfectly. That's something I could go back and edit right now in the pattern. I'm not sure if you can live edit a pattern on this. Possibly. Define new, thumbnails, load, export. Now you can export the pattern. So if you create a pattern in a Photoshop document in Photopea, you can export that as a .pat file and save it somewhere. And then you can load it again in a different file if you come back and use Photopea again in a new session. It also should save it inside the PSD file if you're saving a PSD from Photopea as well. So that's our pattern. This is a dragon, right? That looks like a dragon. I like it. I think it's great. Let's do a different one. I want to do a pattern that isn't organic. I want to do something metallic. So where's my layer? It is hidden. So let's turn on the eyeball and let's get rid of the pattern for now. I want to do a pattern and let's delete. Let's just get rid of that. And we'll do a new, again, 2-inch file. It's a good starting point. 300 DPI because our original project file is 300 DPI for print, in case we print it. Now I'm gonna do some like metal paneling, and this will be a little more less organic. What's the word I'm looking for? See, this is why I rolled a 4. My brain doesn't work and I can't think of the words I'm trying to say. A little more machiney. Is that a word? Not really. Again, I'm gonna use black. I can always change the color later if I want to add in some things, and maybe I'll start with black And see what I'm doing here is I'm going all the way across. So we know those are going to connect when it repeats. So no matter what, this thing is probably going to look pretty cool already. So I think the style I'm going for here is like, let's say metallic Death Star texture, right? So you're doing a texture, let's say for a planet, like a some kind of metal planet, like a Death Star. And so now what I can do is I can actually start putting in some like paneling, some cool paneling here. I'm gonna change the color to that to like a gray. And we'll add some more panels in here. And I'm gonna start to vary some of these things. Maybe I'll go with the Star Wars style of doing like 3 or 5 of everything and one's broken. And then we can add in maybe some little circles. That wasn't a circle. I have to click every time. I'm gonna hold Alt and Shift, and that's gonna go from the center and expand it uniformly. And I'm gonna start creating some more patterns. And now I'm gonna do some that are a little different in value. So maybe like that. Maybe a little lighter. Yeah, let's do some that are a little lighter. I'll do a couple of those. And I could just be holding Alt and dragging these to create some versions of that. And we're gonna see what this looks like. So there we go, there's our pattern. So I'm gonna Control A. I wonder if I can, will this just define the whole thing as a pattern? Let's see. Pattern overlay. No, we don't want dragon. We want, yes, there it is. Oh, that's cool. And now one thing we can do with patterns, we can mess with the opacity. So I have it down pretty far. So if we put it up, you'll see that pattern really jumps out. And you can also mess with scale. So if you want it to be really big. Now, if I was doing a real like Death Star pattern, you'd probably want to do something much bigger so that when it tiled, it didn't look like it was a bunch of tiles. Like this, it's pretty clear that it's a bunch of tiles, but you can see the cool little pieces in between that sort of differentiate this style of pattern. Or you can even offset it. Oh, I see, that's cool. Yeah, and that's just another way of creating a pattern in Photopea. There it is, that's my tutorial. I'll see you next time. Bye guys.